Today we have a really cool interview for you guys. It's a really, really good one. It's with Mark McMahon. He's a very experienced real estate investor who's also a really good guy. So he shares everything that he's learned over the years and years of experience that he has from investing in real estate. So you want to stick around for all of that. As always, like and subscribe on Wrestling with Real Estate. Go to the WWRE podcast and give me a 5-star rating and write me a review if you think it's worthy, and I'm sure it is. And I'm looking to speak to as many of you as possible. So if you're interested in real estate and you want to talk to me and just have a conversation about real estate, I would love to set that up. So there's a link in the description down below. You can sign up there, or you can go to wrestlingwithrealestate.com, the website, and there'll be a link there that you guys can sign up. But make sure you listen to all today's interview. It really is a great one with Mark McMahon. Hello and welcome to Wrestling with Real Estate, where we look to chokeslam all your real estate problems. I'm your host, former WWE wrestler and now Cirque du Soleil performer, and of course, multifamily real estate investor, Barri Griffiths. Now today we're joined by Mark McMahon. How are you doing, Mark?
Great, man. How are you?
I'm fantastic. I'm very happy that you're here today to talk to us and have this great conversation. This is going to be a fun one, I know. So before we dive into it and get into all the good stuff, do you want to give us a little bit about your background and kind of what you're up to these days?
For sure. Background. I'll tell you what I'm up to right now, then I'll give you the background because you get your violin, you know. Play that baby. So right now, myself and I have a couple of interns and I've got a small staff, which is really cool. Most people can't do that. I do. It's expensive, but I love it. We have what I call the 3 pillars, and we wholesale houses, we flip houses, and we buy and hold. So, and buy and hold is apartments. It could be, I don't have any, but it could be a car wash. It could be anything. But right now what we own is apartments and houses. So that's what we do. And I'm looking around me at all my whiteboards. We're busy. So we stay pretty busy with that. Nice. Yeah. And then as far as my past, had a construction background. My dad was a contractor. So I grew up doing construction, went to college for about a year, got kicked out, wasn't quite the student, wasn't a student at all. And went right back into construction, started my own business at 24, 25, somewhere around there. Got my contractor's license, and then I basically on and off been a contractor all my life. And in 2008, everything came crashing down. My wife and I both had construction businesses. She was landscaping, and I was, believe it or not, building decorative koi ponds at the time. But my background is house building. That's what I was doing at the time, and quite successfully. And then basically overnight, both of those businesses shut down for the most part. And for the next year, I was literally just bobbing around at the bottom, and the cars started disappearing, no money, house was getting ready to get foreclosed on. It was, I mean, a lot of people went through it, so I don't want to make it sound like I'm the only one that was, going through it. But it was bad. It was bad. Got so bad, my wife decided to take our then 4 or 5-year-old son to Japan. That's where she's from, to go visit her parents. And she had a return ticket, but it was they used to be able to sell open tickets at the time, where you could set the time where you come back. And she had an open ticket to come back, meaning she didn't have a time to come back. She may not have been coming back. And I knew it. So the day after she left, I think I threw out all the beer and stuff in the fridge and found, by hook or by crook, someone told me about this investment club meeting. And I went to it, and I listened to a guy named Bruce Norris talk that night, and he was saying very magical things that got my juices flowing. The guy next to me was flipping mobile homes, and I was so excited, except I was broke. I mean, I was beyond broke. I had literally like $100, and it was probably in quarters. And I got this idea to go out and find a mobile home the next day. So I went and talked to every mobile home park manager in Orange County that I could find in a 2-day period. So probably 30, 40 women, no men, come to think of it, older women, and finally found one that said, yeah, I got one. And it was like, you know, I wasn't even expecting to succeed, but I didn't have anything else going on. And it had a hole in the roof. There was pigeons living inside. People were in there shooting up at night. It was nasty, and it was not in the greatest part of town. And they sold it to me for $100. I lied about my experience with flipping mobile homes because I had never done it, obviously. And yeah, that's what we did. I flipped that, made $14,000. Strangely enough, during that time, I got a credit card in the mail with a balance on it. And I had 18 credit cards that were maxed out at the time, and I hadn't made payments on them in months. And for some reason, somebody decided to give me one. So that got us through and sold it. Did 2 more immediately thereafter, lost my ass on those. But meanwhile, my wife was starting to get kind of known in Japan as a US real estate lady, because she had come back from Japan at that time and everything was getting better. We were still broke, but we had a goal. And so she started talking to Japanese people about that. Turns out they were interested in buying real estate. They were interested in investing in our company. And so she handled that side. I handled the flips. And the next flip, we made $1,000. And the next flip after that, we made $30,000. After that, after about a year of not doing well, we started doing well. And then our first rental was something that we had sold. We bought it to flip it and put it up for sale. And long story, but the guy that we were working with at the time to get it through a nonprofit, another story, turns out he owed some payroll taxes. So when the IRS found out we were selling this property that his name was also on, they stopped the sale. And yeah, took about a year to unwind that. Meantime, we rented it out. It was cash flowing like mad. And we ended up selling that and turning that into an apartment complex. So happy ending, but it was very stressful at the time because we couldn't afford to keep that house. So it's crazy, just crazy. But it's funny, these bad things happened and then they turned into good things. It just happened over and over and over. Just the worst case scenario. You'd wake up in the morning and be like, oh, it's going to be a beautiful day. And then someone just takes a knife and stabs you in the back. And it's like, what? And then a year later, it turns into gold. It happened so many times. And I think, sorry, this is such a long answer, but
no, this is good. Keep going. No, this is
honestly, I honestly think that the things that we've done the best with are the times when we got the most screwed, because because it made us twist and turn and figure things out and go beyond what normal people would do. And we were so broke at the time when we were going through most of this stuff in the beginning. I mean, yeah, we'd make 30 grand, but we owed 100 grand. I mean, we were never catching up. But we had nothing to lose. So I was like, may as well keep going. There's no jobs available. I looked for them. I got turned down for a pizza delivery job. Yeah, pizza delivery. This is a place that used to deliver to me. They knew me back when I could afford pizza at the time. And I went in there and I said, yeah, you got the job. He says, yeah, put your application in, but he wouldn't hire me. He said, you're going to leave. And I said, actually, no, I've got nowhere to go. So anyway, yeah, it turned out great.
That was during 2008, 2009, around that
time? Yeah. And one thing I forgot to put in there, during that time, we had started also working for the banks because I was a licensed contractor. The banks would hire us to go change locks. And you know, we'd actually show up when the sheriff would show up and we'd lock people out. It was a horrible thing, but that's what we did. And then I'd also go out and change locks on houses, clean them up, paint them, fix them, whatever. And we were doing that, and you would think that that would be good money, but the problem is the banks took so long to pay that it wasn't that great, and the work was just horrendous. You know, just it was ugly. It was depressing. So that's how we kind of got into the investment thing. One of the real estate agents we were working for told me about that meeting that I went to, and the rest is history.
Wow, interesting. Yeah, I'm sure that was you kind of saw the worst of it, right? Doing that job, I'm sure of the 2000, of the Great Recession. You saw the sort of worst of it.
Yeah.
I'm always interested. I wasn't around at that time, but anytime I hear people that were around at that time, I'm always interested to hear what was it kind of like there. Maybe give us, for people like myself who weren't around at that time, I can't, understand what it was like. What was it like back then?
Well, from my personal experience, so, I may as well just lay it out on the line. I don't even know if I've actually told anybody this. I've done an interview or two, but I don't think I've ever told anybody exactly how deeply down we were. We were a year behind on our house payments. Wow. And I'm sitting here doing my hands. I haven't talked about this in public, I don't think. We were so far down. I mean, literally, I'd find my wife on the floor, just, it was that bad. And I remember one night going to bed, and someone came and knocked on the door rather loudly, and they were demanding that we open our garage so they could get to our car. And I said, no, I don't have to do that. And it was just, I mean, it was that bad. So what I was going through, the people I was working, not for sure, the people I was dealing with on a daily basis were going through the same thing. So it was just ugly. I'd go home and it was ugly. I'd go to work and it was ugly. And I wasn't making enough money to get us anywhere. I wasn't getting anywhere close enough to turn myself around with the little bit of money that I was making. I was just going slightly deeper in debt every day. I mean, at least we could afford groceries. That was about it. So it was just an ugly time, but learned a lot. Glad I went through it. Very, very lucky to have gone through it.
And then just as an overall picture outside of, what you went through, thank you for sharing, by the way. I'm sorry that I'm so
Feels
sorry.
Good to get it off my chest.
Yeah. Okay, good. I'm glad. I'm sorry that anyone went through that, but I think as an overall picture, it'd be interesting because, the last, whatever it is, there's been quite a run, right? The last 10 years, whatever, 8 years, whatever, every time, I only remember a good economy, to be honest with you. I moved over in 2010 and I wasn't paying attention so much until 2013, 14 maybe. So I only remember a good economy to extent, but it's not always a good economy. There's market cycles for a reason, right? Because it's sometimes up, sometimes down. For those people who, as an overall picture, what was it like? Houses for sale everywhere? Did it just change overnight? Was it good 1 minute, bad 1 minute?
That's a good question. The funny thing is when I started getting into it, the cycle, it was already full bore. I didn't know, honestly, I knew nothing about real estate in 2007. I bought my first rental property in 2007. Right move. I borrowed $100,000 out of my house and put it down on a condominium in Irvine, California that was just built. And I thought I was the smartest guy in the world. And not 4 or 5 months later, it all came crashing down. And obviously, I ended up losing $100,000. We had to short sell the condo. And that was just the beginning of the end for us. It just kept going worse and worse. But that's what everybody was going through that didn't have a normal job, contractors. I mean, there were some people that were still busy, but for the most part, you'd go and 15 to 20% of the people in a room would be in the same shape as us. I mean, and that's a huge number when you think about it. You've got a neighborhood of 100 houses, 20 of those houses, 15 of those houses are in foreclosure or going to be in foreclosure. They just aren't yet. So that's what the numbers look like. Now, the flip side is it took so long to foreclose at that time that people actually were able to save their houses because it took 2 or 3 years and they were able to get a job and and get a loan modification and make it through, which is what we did. You know, we got a loan modification, we made it through, and now, you know, it's crazy. Our house is worth twice what we owe on it. So, you know, go figure. You know, time heals. That's what I always say about real estate is time heals real estate mistakes. If you can just hold on.
Mm-hmm.
It almost always does, unless you're buying on like an industrial land waste filled dump place, or you did something really, really stupid. You're going to be okay. You know, if you can hold on, generally speaking.
Yeah. And what was the financing like? Were they giving you 100% loans, 110? I've heard 110% loans, even LTVs.
They were. I had a friend of mine, one of my employees that installed koi ponds for me, got 110% loan on his house. Yeah, and 110% loan, and he ended up, of course, losing it. Everybody, you know, everybody around me was losing their house. You know, we had school teacher friends and some regular people that still had regular incomes. But, you know, a lot of us, like small business owners, yeah, a lot of us lost our houses.
Yeah.
People cut out all that stuff. Even people that could afford it stopped spending money.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
that's fantastic.
Yeah.
And I think everyone just seems to think that real estate was just going to keep going up, right? It had gone up at that point. So everyone just thought it's going up 40 grand this month. So it'll go up 40 grand next month. And then the month after that.
Eerily like it is now, let me say.
Well, that leads to my next question is, how do you feel about, you know, just from being around that time and seeing what happened, and kind of also now obviously being very well educated and understanding the real estate world. How do you feel about, and we're at, for reference, we're on November 9th now.
So let's just be logical about it. And, you know, right now it's emotional out there. You know, I gotta buy. Everybody's, you know, if there's a house for sale, you know, we just closed escrow on one last week, and it bid up $40,000. It's, you know, was a $639,000 house. It sold $670 something. So, and we could have gotten more for it, but we liked this buyer, and we figured he would be an easy closer. So there's similarities, but they're not the same. Back at that time, they were giving out some really crazy loans, and right now they're not, and they haven't really been. There's been some kind of weird loans, but not terrible. The equity position people have right now, I don't have the numbers in front of me, but equity position is much better right now than it was then. You know, you'd mentioned before, like 110% loans, 100% loans, 90% loans. You know, 90% loan, you can't sell your house at that point, man. You just can't, because you're going to end up with zero. So things were very, very different. I still think there's going to be a time when people have to pay the piper on this one. But just keep in mind, like all this forbearance that's going on right now, they're going to tack that on to the end. So the only people that are going to be in trouble on that are the ones that actually lost their jobs and haven't found another one. Okay. So that'll be whatever that percentage is. The problem is once that starts happening, it's going to start a ripple effect. So now we know those businesses are gone. Now the services for those businesses are gone. And I've already talked to some people that have businesses, and their business is down 40, 50%, and they're not seeing that changing anytime soon. So they're going to have to let people go. So now we've got the PPP money that everybody got, payroll protection money. There's also some other free money that was available from the government. That's pretty much about run out by now. So I expect to see first quarter there's going to be some shifting. Now, if we get more stimulus money from the government, it might be enough to keep some people from losing their jobs. But there's going to be attrition. There's going to be people that lose. Houses are going to get foreclosed on. Things are going to happen. It's not going to be as bad as it was before, though. Mm-hmm. That's my opinion. The wild card is COVID, and I think we're going to just learn to live with COVID. I'm even though they said that there was a cure magically yesterday, I'm not so sure that that's the case. If it is, I'm so happy. But if it's not, I'm not surprised. I think that's kind of the new normal. And going into the winter, we'll see what happens. But I think we just have to learn to shift, man. And I think there's going to be as much opportunity this time as there was before, but we're going to have to look harder for it. And we're going to have to be a little bit more creative. And by that, I mean, before you could go onto MLS and find all of those foreclosures, right? All the REOs. It won't be like that this time. You know, there's going to be a lot of guys like me that have been spending a lot of time and money marketing and figuring out how to market to people that are in trouble, that may be in trouble, that smell like they might be in trouble. We're going to get to them first. So, sorry. We're going to get to them first. So you guys out there in TV land or podcast land would do well to learn how to market to find houses.
Well, that's an interesting point.
Market.
And finally, without giving everything away, maybe, or if you are willing to give everything away, whatever you do.
I know percentage-wise, not many people are going to do it because it's darned expensive. So, but you know what? I know one company that kills it with mailers. They spend $100,000 a month on postcards. I know a company that does TV. I know a company that does texting. I know a company that does cold calling. I know a company that does door knocking. I know a company that does reach outs to people. They spend all their time calling agents and attorneys and other companies and housing service people looking for referrals, and they stay in touch with those people. We do all of it. We do all of it. And we spend a lot of money doing it. So that's your competition, guys. But I started with nothing, and you can too. That's the big thing, is you can start with nothing and work your way up as long as you've got the heart for it.
Yeah.
That makes sense?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And I think it's what you're saying is that you can make anything work, right? As long as you work yourself, right? It's just you've got to put in
or
the
find
work.
people that are smarter than you, like I do. I get sidetracked pretty easy, so. But yeah, I've got some really smart people around me. My wife, Yuko, is brilliant and a hard worker. And we've got an assistant named Yuko also that she's been with us for 10 years and brilliant. She does a lot of our capital raise and investor relations. And she's even good at comping houses. Austin, just an amazing young 22-year-old guy, handling 90% of the wholesale business for us. Got a couple of interns. By the way, guys, if you really want to learn this business, go work for somebody for free. You know, that's how Austin found me. And I've got two other guys that come in at night and cold call for me for free. And they're learning the business too. So that's the best way to learn. I'm not looking for anybody else right now. But, yeah.
But it's not, and I would argue that it's not for free. You're not paying them monetarily. You're not giving them money, but what they're getting paid with is knowledge and that experience. You know, that's
and commission. You know, if they close anything, they get money.
Okay. But outside that, even if they don't make any money, what I was saying is that knowledge, if you want to, like you said, which is a fantastic piece of advice, if you want to learn whatever aspect of real estate you want to learn, or whatever aspect of life you want to learn, go work for someone for free, right? Go do whatever that person needs and work for free. And even though you don't get paid in money, you get paid in knowledge and experience, and that's worth more than money sometimes, because you can create as much money as you want from there. So the people that's cold calling for you, once they've learned that skill and they can understand, and if they decide to go off on their own, they know how to do it, and then it's up to them. The sky's the limit how much money they can make then from that point.
And that's the crazy thing is, as I was telling my 16-year-old over the weekend, I said, you know, and these guys too, you know, if you can learn how to work phones, I can show you how to make millions of dollars. Literally. I mean, everybody's going to pass me up because I started late in life. I mean, I started at 47. I didn't buy my first house till I was 47. But these guys are going to be killing me. I mean, they're going to just zoom past me in the next 5 years just because I've made so many stupid mistakes that I can tell them about. And they're going to get these phone skills. And I mean, how could you lose?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. Well,
So
when you say we learn to use the phone, what do you mean by that? With those, and you talk about phones.
having the guts to call people and ask for something. Yeah, just having the guts to ask for something and make those phone calls after people hanging up on you and saying F you, and all the things that happen when you cold call people. Being able to keep doing that, and these guys have to be excited when they come in the door. If they come in the door it's like that, they go home. We did none of that, and they've never gone home. So you've got to just, you got to be on fire. You got to want it.
So it's more than it's more that perseverance more than anything else. It's more about just making that phone rather than any real skill in terms of what you say. And obviously there's an art to that probably, but
there is. You've got to handle objections. That's the thing is, if you call up and if I call you up tomorrow and say, hey, Barry, yeah, I know you live at 123 Main Street. I'm interested in buying your house. What is going to be your first reaction? Be honest. What's going to be your first reaction?
How much are you going to give me?
Yeah, but I'm never going to tell you how much I'm going to give you. That is the last bit of information you'll ever get out of me, because that's my secret sauce. You're going to tell me how much you want by the time I get done talking to you, or we're going to go our separate ways. Because my job is to get you to tell me how much you want, and then we can go from there. But my job is not to tell you. That's the last thing I'll ever tell you. I mean, when we first started this, it'd be like, oh yeah, well, we did comps on your property. It's going to be worth 435. And that's what we can pay for it. And they'll go, yeah, screw you. You got to ease into it. You got to back into it. So no, we never tell anybody what their house is worth. We'll say, you know what? I definitely would have to come out and take a look at your property first. And then they'll say, well, just give me some round numbers. It's like, I can't do that. It's like, it would be kind of like me going into the bank and saying, hey, I'll give you 3%. Give me 3% on my money. It's like, I don't set the rate. You set the rate. I know I called you, but it's your house. You have to tell me what you want for it. It doesn't make any sense for me to tell you what I want to give you for it, because I may have an embarrassingly low price that will piss you off. And then our conversation's over. We have nothing left to talk about. I have a starting point. If you tell me, right, then, hey, we're good to go. Even if it's embarrassingly high, we'll probably come up with a reason why we can work together. Or I can direct you to somebody that may be able to help you. And then it kind of goes like that, right? So now you want to sell me your house, right?
Yeah.
Good. How much? How much you looking for?
About 100,000.
100,000. Okay, that's great. I think we can make that work. Now, your house, I checked out your house. Your house is worth about $100,000. So when we do this, we actually have to make a profit, obviously. That makes sense, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so I got to get it for a lot cheaper than that. So anyway, we just go on and on like
that. Yeah. No, that's really cool. I can tell you're fantastic at what you do. I can tell that right away.
Oh, I'm better at teaching than doing.
Yeah. But how did you learn that skill?
I sold water softeners. Do you know what a water softener is?
Yeah.
Okay. Wasn't sure if they had those in Wales.
They don't, but I know from living here for 10 years now.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So, when I got out of high school, I did some sales, so I would actually, back then we didn't have, all we had was a phone book to go off of. So I would work construction during the day, and then I did phone sales at night. I just get the page, open up the phone book and start calling people. And that was water softeners, water purifiers. And then I did fake Corningware door-to-door, fake cooking dishes. I sold that door to door. Koi ponds, sold a lot of koi ponds, sold a lot of stuff. So,
did they give you any training, or was that just something you learned from experience about?
No training. No training. No. So
it was just the school of hard knocks, I guess. Then
there you go. Yeah. Well, it was all commission. So if I didn't make any money, they didn't care. So.
Wow. That's fascinating. That's really interesting. I hear time and time again, one of the most important skills you can learn is the art of sales, right? Because everything sales at the end of the day, whatever you're doing, you're selling something, right? Selling yourself, selling a product, selling real estate, selling people, selling something. And once you've learned that skill, the world kind of opens up a lot more for you.
It does, but it's funny. I'm gonna take it's getting warm now.
Yeah.
It's funny. I'm not as good as I used to be. You know, I can stand in front of a group of people and teach them that.
Mm-hmm.
But for me to go out and do it now, I'm probably about half as good as I used to be. So I'm comfortable in the teacher role now, and I kind of stay out of that. I mean, I'll jump on the phones every once in a while if I see something going south. But for the most part, I don't do a lot of sales anymore. In fact, I would say 99% of the time I am not doing sales.
Why do you say that you don't think you're as good as you were?
I'm not knocking myself. So that's a good question. That's a good question. Because it sounds like I've lost my confidence. It's just I don't have that killer instinct anymore like I used to. You know, that's easier to teach to a young man or a young lady. And you know, I've mellowed with age. You know, I didn't do sales for a long time. I just did construction, and you know, it comes back to you, but it's not my passion.
Mm-hmm.
It's not my passion. My passion is to honestly, I think my passion is to teach other people, and I don't want that to come off the wrong way. Like, hey, I've got this course I want you to like. I don't. But I enjoy teaching people, but I don't really have time to do it. So I've got these guys, and I've got my daily videos I do, and it's all for free. So.
Well, on that, where can people find these videos? I watch your videos all the time. They're really good.
Oh, thank you.
Oh, they are.
Namaste. I find you can find them on Instagram, Mark McMahon Real Estate. That's easy. And the same thing on YouTube, Mark McMahon Real Estate. And that's pretty much it. If you find me there, you'll find me everywhere.
Perfect. Yeah, I highly recommend everyone goes to.
Oh, thank you.
Goes out, and I'll put the link in the description below, and we'll mention it again before the end of this video.
Oh,
anyway.
no worries.
No
worries. Oh, and then yeah, and you know what? I really, if we could put a shout out for Rick and I, we do a free question and answer. Rick Jarman and I. Rick is 65 years old. I'm 57 years old, and we've been in this real estate game, but collectively for about close to 50 years. And construction for much longer than that, both of us. And we do a Q&A every Wednesday night at 5 o'clock Pacific. And all we do is just answer questions for an hour. And we never get to all of them. I think our audience is up to about 550 people now. It's pretty amazing. We have a good time. But anyway, enough of that.
No, yeah, absolutely. Again, I can't stress enough how if you're starting out or even if you're experienced, you should be checking this out, because you guys give it away for free to start off, and you guys have a wealth of knowledge, and you guys are actually, like you said, are not selling anything, right? It just comes from a place of giving and sharing and wanting to help people. And Rick is like yourself, a great guy, super experienced, super successful.
Yeah.
So yeah, check that out for sure. We'll put that link in the description as well for anyone who's looking to check that out. So you said you started with excuse me, with mobile homes, and you group kind of flipped those. Out of interest, the first one you did, was it the credit card that you used to okay, that was what you used to fund the rehab on that one, and then you got the.
I'm not even sure if we ever paid that credit card off, but don't tell anybody.
The secret's safe with me.
Yeah, I don't know.
And then so how did it grow from there? How did your real estate grow from there? What was next from there?
So the next thing we did is I thought, wow, this is good. So I kept going and talking to, I did all the work on the first mobile home myself. So after I got off work, I'd kind of clean up and then I'd go hit some more mobile home parks. And I found another one, and she said, no, I don't have anything for sale, but I know a guy that wants to sell his mobile home. So I went over and talked to him, and he ended up selling me his mobile home. And I no way in hell could I afford to buy that second one, because I put money I didn't have into the other one that I was doing at the time. So the guy that was sitting next to me at the investment club meeting, I called him up and I said, hey, I got this double wide mobile home in Garden Grove. You want to partner with me? I said, I've got it under contract. I'll do all the work, but I need you to fund it. And because I knew he had some money. And he said, absolutely. And so during that time, I finished the one, sold it, had some money in my pocket, we had basically free and clear grocery money for a couple of months. And I think we weren't catching up on our house payment then, but we could afford to go out and buy a used car. And I still had my old pickup truck. So Yuko had a used car to drive. We had lost the other one. And he came in with the money on the one mobile home. And I did the work. We sold it. And we sold it on terms, which was cool. I was thinking, okay, yeah, I mean, I didn't put any money into it. I'm going to get like $250 a month for the rest of my life. That's great. Never saw a penny.
Yeah.
Never saw a penny. Never got paid, never saw a penny. And learned a valuable lesson. I'd been doing contracts all my life, but never did a contract with him, never did an agreement with him. I just assumed he was a righteous guy. Well, unfortunately, during that time frame, I had bought another one in the mobile home park. He financed that one also, and I started the rehab on that. So I was a busy boy. I was fixing 3 mobile homes up, but one was finished at that time. The other one wasn't done yet. I started this one. And anyway, bottom line is I never ended up getting any money for both of those for, 4 months of work, not a penny. So next one was I had no money. And I told Yuko, I said, look, we got to start talking to your people and see if they want to invest with us. And all of her Japanese people. And some of them did. It was crazy, she was starting to do some seminars in Japan, and she got a book deal over there, and she became a big deal over there. She actually got 2 book deals, and raised enough money to do one, but couldn't find a deal, even though there was all those foreclosures out there. It was really, really hard to find them. I mean, you could find them, but everybody else was looking for them too. That's the thing. Everybody thought that it was like, low hanging fruit. It's like, I'll buy this and this and this and this. It wasn't that way, man. You had to have relationships with agents and let them double end it and let them relist it. And yeah, it was crazy. Just like it is now. People have no idea. They think back then it was just easy, but just as hard. And so we found a guy that taught me about private money. He had a deal. Yuko had raised the money, but we had no deal. So he brought the deal, and we ended up only making about $3,000 on that one. It was like, oh God, I'm about done with this real estate thing. We're gonna die. And we got one more house with him, and we partnered with him, and we both made 35 grand. So a year and a half after we started, we'd made about 45, about $50,000 in a year and a half. And that's when we realized, okay, we can do this. And we went out and found our own house, flipped it, made money, did another one, did another one, did another one, did another one. And then we started keeping them and made a lot of mistakes doing that. So many mistakes, and lost a ton of money and made a ton of money. But in the end, it all worked out.
This was all in California?
Yeah. And then we did our stint in Memphis. We sold a bunch of turnkey houses in Memphis with another friend of mine, and bought a few there, bought some apartments there. That was an experience. We moved about 300 homes there. And then we did turnkey homes in Sacramento for investors, where we'd buy them and fix them up and sell them to investors. And we did the same thing here in LA and Orange County. And so we were, at one time, we were very prolific investors doing many deals. We had, 15 deals going at a time at any given time. And I was handling all the purchasing and not the paperwork, just finding the properties, taking care of all the construction side and getting them listed. And the girls, Yuko and Yuko, would raise the money, get them sold, whatever the case may be, to investors. So it was working pretty well. And then the prices went up so far that people just kind of lost interest. They weren't cash flowing like they were in the beginning. So we shifted into just flipping at that point and buy and hold.
You guys were a turnkey company, or you were just doing sort of? How did that work? How many turnkeys were you selling?
I don't even know if I want to let that secret out, because that was one of my more brilliant moves. I had made so many mistakes at that point, and I was laying in bed one night, and we'd been doing turnkey with my other friend in Memphis for a long time. But at that point, we were just finding the buyers. He would find the houses, do the construction. We would find the buyer, put them all together, and we'd get a piece of it, right? So, I mean, wasn't real difficult, but then we had some construction issues and stuff, and I had to kind of get involved in that, not to a great degree, but to a small degree. And, but when we started doing it here, I thought, okay, what are the problems with turnkey? Is like you got all these houses in your inventory, and you got money out. You got money sitting there that you're paying interest on, right? I mean, you got to buy a house, you got to fix it up, then you got to wait for a buyer to buy it, right? You know, no one's going to finance you, not on that. So you got to raise a bunch of private money, a bunch of hard money, bank money, whatever, and you're making payments, interest payments that whole time, and you're paying everything up front. So I said, well, what if we could come up with a way? I guess I'm going to tell you, okay? What if we could come up with a way to sell houses without buying them? And so what we did is we basically wholesaled houses to investors. But we'd buy it, we'd assign it to them, they'd pay us to pay for it, and they'd pay us up front to do the rehab and our profit.
Oh, wow.
And it was very complicated the way we did it. I mean, I'm not going to go into details on how we did it, all the paperwork, the contracts. If you're smart enough to figure it out, then you'll be able to do it. But that's not a secret I'm willing to give up right now. But suffice it to say, if you got half a brain, you can figure it out. And so we ended up not having to come up with any money up front. So we were selling turnkey houses to people and getting paid for it up front. They're brilliant, right? So it worked really well. But then, like I said, prices went up to the point where people just didn't want to do it anymore. So, you know, we were selling houses for $160,000 that were, you know, cash flowing, you know, $500 a month, and it was great. And then it got to the point where they were cash flowing $200 a month, and it was like, yeah, people weren't so excited anymore. So we just kind of frittered away. But you know, if things go south, which I don't think they're going to go that south, but if they do, that engine is still being cared for. I change the oil on it often, and I'm ready to fire that one back up at a moment's notice. We've got all of our marketing ready to go. It's as simple as just pushing a button right now, and we're back in business if things go that way. So
that's interesting. And with that, I've never heard of that before. So you guys were
no,
getting.
I don't want you to tell anybody about that.
Okay, Mark. Okay, I will mention it again. That's such an interesting model. What made you guys go to Memphis? So you guys are in California. What did you guys choose?
Well, my friend Matt was already there doing turnkey, and I'm a firm believer in just learning from other people. I don't necessarily want to be a maverick all the time. I learn from somebody and see if I can add value to it, you know, for me. And, you know, I saw what Matt was doing, and I thought, wow, I wonder if we can find people that would be interested in that. And, you know, that was part of what Yuko was doing, was trying to teach people in Japan how to invest here. And, you know, having a product was the next natural step. And like I said, we ended up selling over 300 houses. So it was crazy. There's a lot of escrows going on.
Well, were you in Memphis at the time, or were you living in California?
We lived here. We had a little office in Costa Mesa, California, which was down the street from the little office I have right now. So
yeah. But how were you able to do that out of interest? You know, people might, you know, that might be blowing some people's brains right now. Yeah, you're able to.
Well, because Matt,
transactions out of state.
It's a good question. So Matt had people on the ground there. He had an attorney. It's an attorney state, so all the escrows have to go through an attorney, not escrow. So they're not called escrows. They're just, I don't even know what they're called. But anyway, they went through an attorney's office. So Matt had an attorney office there. He had contractors. He had all that side lined up. We had our buyers lined up over here, but they were all foreign nationals. Well, there's a lot of people that lived here too, but most of them were from Japan or other countries. And so everything we did was virtual. We didn't, I'd fly to Memphis, twice a year, take pictures, and here I am, then I'd change my shirt and here I am, and then Yuko would disperse them out on the internet over the 6 months until I went back again. So yeah, that's what we did. We were shuffling paper, basically. Shuffling paper. We were putting people into investments that would have not otherwise been able to invest.
But how were you finding these investors? Was it through your wife, or was it, yeah?
That was where we kind of learned how to market. And then when Yuko wrote her books over there on U.S. investing, it just kind of exploded. And, we were getting 200 people, 250 people at seminars in Japan and seminars here. And, and my wife's a badass. All 5'1" of her. She's a badass little girl.
But how are things in Japan in terms of raising money? Are there any differences here? What, obviously they have a different culture. We all have different.
I would say it's much more difficult. Mm-hmm. I have much, and I never even thought about raising money here until, the last couple of years, and now people call me. But I never even talked to anybody about raising money here because we were doing such a good job there. But it was a full-time job to raise money. Mm-hmm. So here, like I said, I've got people that call me and email me, and it's like, hey, I've got this. Can I deploy it? It's like, yeah, why not? So, but I put myself out there. I'm pretty prolific online, and a lot of people know me, and I mean, there's reasons I do what I do. I want to teach, but I also am smart enough to know that this is also a business. So, people know about me, and they learn to trust me online. They know I'm, when I say pretty much whatever I say is the truth. If I have a bad day, I'm really having a bad day, and I'll let you know about it. If the deal goes south, I'm pretty good about sharing that. When it goes good, I try not to brag about it. So, yeah, I like to think people trust me.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah. Well, you obviously you're very knowledgeable, and you had a lot of success. But just going back a little bit again to the Japan thing, how does your wife do it? Is it a case of just being out there and being, without giving too much secrets, but I mean in general, right?
No.
What are the differences you think?
This is my course. This is the course that I offer. It's $100,000. So, do you have a credit card?
Yes, 3. Can I split them up?
Yes, 3 payments, no problem. No, I'm joking. Okay, well, I'd like to say there was a plan, and we wrote it all down, and we figured it all out beforehand, but it just happened. It literally organically happened. We didn't try to do it. We literally had someone send us some money after a seminar one time because, and I can't remember why, Yuko had put our routing number and stuff somewhere. Maybe it was on our website. I mean, we were naive. And I think what it was we were charging for the seminar or something like that. And people were wanting to transfer money to our account. I don't remember what it was. Somebody sent us $500,000. Yep. Woke up one morning, Yuko looked at our bank account, which was usually 5,000, because we were actually had some money in the bank at that time, or 10,000, and there was 510,000. It's like, what happened? And she's, I don't know, but I'm going to go find out. So she went down to the bank and looked it up, and sure enough, it was one of the ladies we had met with at one of our seminars. She just sent the money. She goes, yeah, I just want to invest whenever you have something to invest in, I want to invest in it. It's like, wow, okay. So we sent it back to her, but anyway, it really honestly happened organically. We didn't set out to do that, but it became that, and then private money became our business. Private money became the business, and it should be what everybody's business is. Your private money people that do real estate. That's pretty much what it is.
Why is that? I know, but for people.
Oh, good. Yeah, good question. Because money is the biggest stopping point. If I have to answer, the 2 most asked questions are, how do I get started? In other words, how do I get the money? And how do I find a deal? Well, unless you've got money, you got to find private money. And if you want to find a deal, you got to learn how to market. So those are the two things we concentrate on talking about: private money and marketing. And if you can, and I've never really heard anybody put it that way before, even though everybody talks about it, but those are really the two most important things in investing: is finding private money and marketing. Marketing in such a way that people come to you that want to sell their house or their apartment complex or whatever. So and we're still perfecting that. We're still not great at it. Finding money, yeah, we're pretty good at, but the marketing thing, geez, every time we get good at something, it shifts. And it's like, all right, that ain't working anymore. So I like it, but it's challenging. It's challenging. You got to toss a lot of money at it. So if you were just beginning, if you're just beginning and you want to find deals, I'd say the best way, honestly, is talk to the people around you and let them know what you're doing. Most people are afraid to talk to people. And it's the same way for private money. Talk to people about what you're doing because it's interesting. Everybody wants to hear about flipping houses and buying houses and selling houses. And they want to hear about the drama that goes along with it. And if you can't do it yourself, if you're not doing it yourself, be of value to another investor like these guys have with me. Now they can go out and tell stories now because I tell stories. So those stories are their stories now, right? So if they go to somebody and they say, hey, look, man, I'm going to bust out on my own, Mark. It's like, yeah, go do it. But not really, don't. Please don't leave. I need you young guys. But they have stories now and they make interesting stories. And when people are interested in what you're saying and you say them often enough, people are going to say, well, I might want to do that, especially if you can throw in like, on my way home from work tonight, I had to stop by Jim Smith's house and drop off his check. That's why I'm running a little late. He get his interest check every month. So I was like, well, what do you mean by that? It's like, oh no, he invested on the project with me. So I had to drop off his interest check. It's like, I never give anybody an interest check unless I'm using that money to buy a house for me to keep. I never pay interest up front. I always pay it when I sell the house. I never pay for money up front. So, but I throw the story out like that. I used to. And then people go, oh, that's interesting. Tell me more. It's like, yeah, you know what? Let's talk about football. And I hate football. So let's talk about football or something, change the subject. And it's like, you're kind of pushing them away and they're kind of leaning in. So that's how you do it. It's not even sales. It's just you do something that's interesting. Even if you don't do it, what you want to do is interesting enough that people will want to listen to it because you know a little bit more than they do. So yeah, there's the big secret.
And like you said, everyone's interested in real estate, right? For the most part. Anytime I talk about real estate and investing, and everyone's like, oh, I wish I could do that. Oh, I want to invest in real estate. Oh, maybe in the future, I would love to invest in real estate. There's hardly any people that don't want to invest in real estate. So just talk about what you do, I think, right, is important. If you just tell people about what you're up to and what you're doing, and people are going to be interested in it.
How long did we talk the other day?
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe, an hour, maybe. I don't know.
I think it was more than that. Yeah, and it was supposed to be a 15-minute phone call. I don't shut up. You know that I don't shut up, but no, we were just talking about real estate. It's interesting. It is.
Yeah.
So,
I love it. But
yeah.
Hopefully everyone should know that by now. But
yeah.
But then how does that progress for people out of interest? That may be like, okay, I can find a deal or I can do the construction work, but that money part is what's maybe missing. How does that develop? How do you how does that go from having that initial conversation to maybe them giving you the money?
That's where you have to find out how to put together a contract. You have to find out how to put a promissory note together. You've got to figure out how to go down to the county and record the deed of trust. And all these little nuances, there's stuff that goes along with it, and you can go online and look at it all day long. There's no secrets out there, but the big thing is hooking the fish and reeling it in. And I don't want to make it sound like we're trying to pull the wool over anybody's eyes, because we're really not. I want them to come to me to invest because I've never in 11 years lost my investors' money. All right, remember, I'm going to go back to something that, spoiler alert, we talked about earlier about losing money. Okay, the only time I've ever lost money is when I took money out of my pocket, and I've done it probably to the tune of $400,000 or $500,000, and paid my investors for things that I did. Now, I'm not patting myself on the back, but most people don't do that. But I have the vision to see that if I do that, if I go that deep, I mean, if I go in debt, if I have to sell something, if I have to sell a piece of property to pay off one of my investors, number one, it's the right thing to do. Agreed?
Mm-hmm.
It's the right thing to do. But number two, if I want to stay in this business, I got to stay true to these people, you know? And so some of these people didn't get, you know, there's been 5 or 6 deals where I had to actually reach into the old pocket and pay them. I mean, to the tune of massive amounts of money. I mean, more enough to make a grown man cry. But it felt good every time because I knew that I could go back to them later on and they'd still invest with me. And I let them know, look, you know, this one didn't go well, but you know, here you go, and let's try it again. And you know, away we went. So, you know, you've got to have that. You've got to have that credibility. You know, you got to be honest, and you know, that's the most important thing. You know, I talk like it's like, yeah, hey, we're gonna hook them, but it has nothing to do with that. You have to get them interested, but you have to have that honesty and integrity, and make sure that you take care of your investors. Because like I said, it's the right thing to do. And if you can't do that, then don't get into this business, because you're going to give us a bad name. The ones of us that have integrity. I know too many guys that have gotten into this business and screwed people and gone on to a different state to screw more people. Bad business. So anyway, sorry.
Yeah, no. I agree. Thank you. No, I appreciate you sharing that, because it's so important that people understand. You know, yes, you can get money up front, but you've got to do the right thing, right? And also the hard thing is to do the right thing when times are tough, right? When it doesn't feel right, right? Like you said, when coming out of pockets hundreds of thousands of dollars, right? That probably didn't feel great in terms of your finances, but it felt. But I'm sure it still felt good to do the right thing, right? Give them that money, because you've got to do the right thing when things are hard, right? It's easy to do the right thing when the deals make money and everyone's happy and everything's going great. But the hard thing and the important thing is to do the right thing when times are bad.
Yeah. I mean, there's going to be times. There's more than likely going to be times that you can't pay interest, but you got to get principal back. That's the bottom line. That's the be all end all. If you can get principal back, they may not invest with you again, but they'll respect you. They may not like you, but they'll respect you. So you've got to do the right thing. You absolutely have to do the right thing. If you don't, the word will get around.
Yeah. And what kind of returns do you guys give your investors, or is that too much?
No, it's fine. We are. Yeah, I'm not how comfortable I am with that, but no, it's okay. Let me see if I can phrase it correctly.
Yeah,
We are in the between 5 and 10% on our flip money, and we're above 5% on our long-term money. Just above 5% on our long-term money. That means that, like, if we're going to buy something, like if we're going to buy a house and hang on to it for a while for a rental, you know, sometimes we'll leave private money in there. You know, if they're fine with it, I'm fine with it. If you look at all the properties I own, you won't see a lot of debt on them, because there's not a lot of bank loans in there.
Yeah.
So private money's been really good for me. Private money's been really, really good for me. So
yeah. And then so your main focus is right now is wholesaling, like you said, the 3 pillars. That's where your main focus is currently. Is that 3 pillars is wholesale, flip, and buy and hold if you can.
Yeah, and it's funny. I forgot about wholesaling until about a year ago. I've been buying houses from wholesalers for years, and the first thing Yuko and I did at the investment club while I was doing that mobile home, of course there was no money coming in, is I signed her up for a class on how to find properties, which is basically a glorified way of saying how to wholesale for the gal that ran the investment club. And, you know, I'll forever be grateful to her for teaching us how to do that, because she taught us how to market at that time. And some of those things still work. So, you know, we learned a lot from there. And we actually, Yuko won that contest. There was like 30 people in that class. And when I got home from the mobile home thing, when I was done knocking on doors to buy more mobile homes, I'd come home and help her put in offers till, you know, 2 o'clock in the morning. I don't work that hard anymore. She does. She still does. But I'm in bed by 9:30 now. But that's what we do. We put in offer after offer after offer. And back then you had to type them and then fax them, you know. So, you know, people were still not quite up on emailing yet. So yeah, so we'd do that all night, and then she'd follow up, and she ended up getting 3 houses in 60 days. She got 3 houses under contract.
Wow.
With her English second language skills. Actually, her English is excellent, but yeah, so
Very cool. So what does your current portfolio look like? What do you kind of own right now then?
We have 43 doors right now. So 43, 44. Don't put me on the spot.
Okay.
So we have vacation rentals in Hawaii. We have a bunch of apartments in Sacramento, and a few single family homes. So in between LA, Orange County, and Sacramento.
Okay. Very cool. Very cool.
Yeah.
What do you see? Where do you see yourself going from here? What's kind of next from you? You know, even though you've done so much already, where do you see the future?
No. You know, it's funny how much I haven't done, to be honest with you. So many things that I have not done that I want to do, and you know, having these young guys around me right now has just fired me back up. You know, I'd like to. What my hobbies don't require a lot of money, so camping, fishing, stuff like that. So I was kind of heading that direction, and then they came along and ruined everything. And now I'm kind of fired back up. So 1,000 units within 5 years, and I'll have it. $100,000 a month residual income, you know, from rents above and beyond. And then we'll see beyond that. Maybe I'll go to 2,000 and 200,000. We'll see.
Nice.
But we'll see. But that's where I'm going to be in 5 years. So
I believe you.
I've fiddled around for 10 years now, learning the business, 11 years. Now I know exactly what to do. And I feel like I've made most of the big mistakes that I'm going to make. So I'm sure I'll continue to make some mistakes, but some of the mistakes I've made have been so horrendous and painful that I learned enough from them that I know that those probably won't happen again. So
yeah,
I can avoid a lot of the pain that I've gone through. You know, I should have 500 or 600 units right now, but I allowed some bad things to happen, and I let them slow me down. I mean, they didn't like depress me or anything. I just was so busy trying to untangle all that crap that I let it slow me down, and that was a big mistake on my part. That's my biggest failure so far in investing has been not being the investor I could be. It's been getting tangled up in things that I thought were important to do when I could have actually had somebody else do that, and I could have stuck with my goals. And I didn't do it. I just veered off to the road.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I believe you. You say with such conviction. I'm very confident that you'll get to that. You'll probably even get to that even sooner than you think, right? I'm sure.
But
when you take goals like that, you work towards them. Usually. Hey, can you hear me?
I can.
So I don't know what happened there. I lost you for a second. Okay.
I wasn't touching anything.
Well, I'll edit that part out.
Oh, no worries.
Yeah. So this show is called Wrestling with Real Estate.
Right.
And so I like to incorporate some of my wrestling background to ask some wrestling-related real estate questions, even though the first one isn't necessarily a real estate question. But the first one is, what would your wrestling name be? If you had to pick a wrestling name for yourself, what would that be?
I've been thinking about this. Uh, Knockdown.
Knockdown.
Oop.
Can you hear me?
You there? Oop.
Yeah, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yeah. I don't know if you can hear me, but yeah, you're frozen.
Okay. Can you hear me now? No.
Now I can.
Can you see me? Hear me?
I can see you and hear you now. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. We'll start that again if that's okay.
Yeah. We'll try it again.
This show's called Wrestling with Real Estate, so I like to incorporate some wrestling-related real estate questions.
Excellent.
First up is, what would your wrestling name be?
All right. I thought about this. You can call me Knockdown, okay?
Why
You
is
can call
that?
me Knockdown all because I'm gonna get back up, baby. I'm gonna get back up.
Yeah.
I don't know. That was really bad, but that's the only thing I could think of.
No, I like it.
I've been knocked down so many times in this business, so many times, but I always get back up. So.
And that's the key, right? It's not how many times you've been knocked back. It's not how many times you've been knocked down. It's how many times you get back up.
That's right. That's right.
Awesome.
2 steps forward, 1 step back. It's every day. Yeah.
I love that.
For sure.
Every wrestler has a special move or a signature move in real estate. What's your special move what's your special move you'd say?
I am a ninja private money man. That I'm not the best at raising private money, but I've found people that are.
And again, I think that's a great lesson, not only in the finding private money, but whatever you want to do, find people that are good at and surround yourself with those.
Yes.
You don't have to be the best in something yourself. Find the people.
No, thank goodness.
What's been the biggest body slam you've taken in your investing career?
I'm gonna do this one more time.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Oh, so goes. I don't know why it's doing that. We're so close. What's been the biggest body slam you've taken in your real estate investing career?
I got involved with an investor in Hawaii, and things were going great. And then he ended up leaving the island and leaving me with 4 projects to finish. And I wasn't supposed to be involved in that. I was just a money guy. So I ended up writing a check for $200,000 on one of those deals, and probably spent another $100,000 getting out of the other deals and making sure everybody got their money back. Even investors that he brought in after the fact, I had to get them paid off too. So people I didn't even know. So that was it. And that's the one thing that took the wind out of my sails for a while. It took me 3 years to unravel all that crap. It was millions of dollars. So, but I it's over. So.
Good. I'm glad. Yeah, I'm glad.
Me too.
So was there a moment that you were standing on the top rope getting ready to jump? What was it? How did you overcome it?
Well, I've spent a lot of time on top of the rope, and I've spent a lot of time jumping off the other side and running away from deals that I should have taken. There was a time when I could pick up real estate in Sacramento, especially apartment units for $25,000, $30,000 a door. And cash flow wasn't quite enough for me. And now, obviously, making $500 a month on cash flow per door would be a phenomenal thing, but it wasn't enough then. I was too skittish to do it. I ended up buying a few, obviously. I own a few. And but that's where the 500 units would have come from that I talked about earlier. That was my time on top of the rope, and couldn't commit. Just couldn't do it, man. As the kids would say, I couldn't send it. So
but it's all worked out in the long run, right? You have
it will work out. It will work out. Yeah, I still have some time to finish what I started. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Well, thanks so much, Mark, for making this happen today and being here. It's been
man.
really cool. Like I love talking to you, man. People, anytime we can talk to someone as experienced as yourself and as successful as yourself and that has so much knowledge, I just love it. I absolutely love it. I could listen to you all day. The secret is keep this closed and these open, right? Mouth shut, ears open. And
yeah, I was better at that before. Now I seem to be doing more of this. So,
no, but that's important because you've got so much to share. So I appreciate that.
Thank you. And by the way, thank you, man. It was, you know, I'm pretty sure we're going to be friends now, and it's been kind of cool getting to know you this last week.
Oh, I appreciate that a lot. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. But before we go, I think it's important that people, you know, find out more about you and hear more about you, and
Cool.
you know, if they want to partner with you, maybe on some private money deals or whatever it is.
Come on down. You can find me on Instagram at Mark McMahon Real Estate. And I put out a daily video on investing and mindset, but you know, a lot of times I'll tell you how to do deals and how to find deals and how to run numbers, and I give you a lot of construction tips. It's just whatever's on my mind that day.
Yeah.
So I do it every day,
Yeah.
almost. And then on YouTube, I do a little bit longer videos there, a little bit more produced. Not as consistent as I'd like to be, but there's some pretty good stuff on there. And that's also Mark McMahon Real Estate. LinkedIn, not very active, but again, Mark McMahon Real Estate. Mark and Rick Live every Wednesday night. Come ask your questions for free. 50 years of real estate knowledge, giving out the best advice we can. We don't know everything, and if we don't know it, we fake it.
Fake it till you make it.
That's right. That's right.
If you have any question in real estate and you don't hop on that Instagram live, you are absolutely crazy. Like the chance you're missing by not only chances are people are asking the questions that you want to ask to start off with, and then if you don't, you can ask that question. And to hear these guys talk, you're absolutely crazy if you miss that. Like it's
and if you go to Rick's channel at Real Estate Old School, all of our old programs are on there. You can look at them all. Why in God's name anybody would want to spend hours doing that? But you know, we refer back to our videos. Rick and I both have, between the two of us, just our 10-minute daily videos. I think we got like 700 videos between the two of us that we've done over the last year and a half. So tons of good stuff in there, guys. I mean, I'm not tooting my own horn. It's just, I tell you the good, the bad, and the ugly. So
yeah. Awesome. Well, cool. Thank you so much, man. I mean that from the bottom of my heart. Thank you so much for being here. I really enjoyed
Barry.
it.
That was fun, man. I appreciate it.
I hope we get to meet in person soon. So
definitely. We will.
Cool. Well, have a great day, man. Go spend some time with Lucy.
I will. I will be home with Lucy. And you guys have a good night, okay?
Thank you very much.
You got a new baby in the house, or newer.